The Silicon Valley skyline glittered outside my office window, a digital constellation of ambition, but inside, my world was crashing like a buggy codebase. I, Xavier Reed, stood clutching a chipped coffee mug, my talisman through every all-nighter that built my tech startup, as my sister Sarah's voice sliced through the boardroom. "We need bold leadership," she declared, her words sharp as a syntax error. My parents nodded, their eyes on her, like she was the algorithm to their future. 10 years ago, at 23, I coded my way from a nobody to a name at 33, my startup a living proof of my grind. Now they were handing it to my 29-year-old sister. The betrayal wasn't a glitch, it was a full system failure. But I wasn't debugging. I smirked, my mind already wiring a plan to reboot my empire and crash theirs. I'm Xavier Reed, a tech dreamer who turned lines of code into a Silicon Valley success story. My startup, Nexus Labs, was my masterpiece, born in a dingy Oakland apartment a decade ago. Back then, I was a kid with a laptop, $5,000 in savings, and a hunger to prove myself. I coded through nights, pitched to VCs who scoffed, and lived on energy drinks to keep the dream alive. Nexus Labs grew into a platform connecting small businesses to AI-driven analytics, a scrappy underdog challenging tech giants. By 2025, we had 50 employees, million-dollar contracts, and a buzz that echoed from San Francisco to Sand Hill Road. My name, Xavier, came from my grandfather, a radio repairman who taught me to tinker with circuits before I could read. "Fix what's broken, X," he'd say, his hands steady on a soldering iron. That stuck with me, shaping my knack for solving problems, whether in code or life. My loft in San Francisco, filled with retro tech gadgets and a 3D printer humming in the corner, was my sanctuary. I'd spend hours tweaking drones or hacking open-source projects, my way of unwinding from the startup grind. My crew, Corey, my lead developer with a hacker's edge, and Simone, my operations manager with a no-nonsense vibe, kept me grounded. They were my debuggers, catching my blind spots, calling me out when I pushed too hard. But my family? They were a bug I couldn't squash. My parents, Evelyn and Marcus, were old school, obsessed with legacy, but blind to my hustle. They poured their pride into my younger sister, Sarah, the golden child who could charm a firewall. Sarah was sharp, no doubt, Stanford Business School, top of her class, with a smile that closed deals. Growing up in our Oakland home, I was the quiet kid fixing neighbors' computers while Sarah got standing ovations for her debate team wins. I didn't care, until it threatened to delete my life's work. My parents saw me as the steady one, the coder who'd always figure it out. But Sarah? She was their star, their vision of a CEO in waiting. 2 years ago, Sarah graduated and my parents launched their campaign. "She's got vision, Xavier," my mom said over brunch at their Palo Alto house, her eyes gleaming like LEDs. "Nexus Labs needs her." My dad nodded, sipping his coffee. "You've done great, son, but Sarah's got the polish to go global." I brushed it off, thinking they just wanted her close. I loved Sarah, even if her charm sometimes felt like a Trojan horse. She'd always had a way of stealing the spotlight, like when she took credit for my science fair project in high school, laughing it off as a team effort. I let it slide then, but this was different. Nexus Labs was mine. My code, my sweat, my soul. So I brought her on board, hoping family could strengthen my empire. Big mistake. Sarah hit the ground running, her ideas bold, streamlining our platform, targeting Fortune 500 clients, revamping our branding. At first, I was impressed. She had a knack for pitching, and our team ate it up, buzzing about her energy. We landed a major contract with a retail chain, and I thought, maybe this is good. Maybe we're a team. But then the cracks appeared. Sarah started overstepping. She'd greenlight projects without my sign-off, charm clients into deals I hadn't vetted, and hold strategy sessions that conveniently left me out. I'd walk into the office, a sleek space in Soma with glass walls and ping-pong tables, to find my team huddled around her, nodding like she was Steve Jobs reincarnated. My lead data scientist, Priya, started running ideas by Sarah first. My UX designer, Malik, called her the closer. Even Corey, my ride or die, admitted, "She's got game, X." I felt my empire slipping, not to a competitor, but to my own sister. I confronted her one night in the office, the hum of servers filling the silence. "Sarah, this is my company," I said, my voice steady but my hands clenched. "You need to run things by me." She leaned back in her chair, her smile polished, disarming. "I'm just trying to help, Xavier. We're family. Don't you want Nexus Labs to soar? Her words were sweet, but her eyes were steel, like she was already measuring my office for her nameplate. I let it slide, not wanting to fracture the team, but the fracture was already there. The real betrayal hit at a family dinner in Palo Alto, the kind where my parents rolled out the good china and jazz played softly. Sarah breezed in late, a bottle of Napa Valley wine in hand, her apologies as smooth as her blazer. We were halfway through my mom's roast lamb when my dad cleared his throat, his voice heavy with purpose. "Xavier, we've been talking," he said, setting down his fork. "Nexus Labs is at a crossroads. Sarah's ready to lead it into the future. We think it's time for you to step back." My fork froze midair, the lamb turning to ash in my mouth. Sarah sat across from me, her face calm like she'd rehearsed this moment. My mom jumped in, her tones soft but unyielding. "You've built something amazing, honey, but Sarah's got the skills to scale it. You'd still have a role, maybe CTO, focus on the tech you love." I looked at them. My parents, who'd never written a line of code or faced a VC's rejection, and my sister, who'd been with Nexus Labs less than a year. "This is my company," I said, my voice shaking, my fingers gripping the table. "I built it from nothing. You can't just take it." Sarah leaned forward, her voice dripping with faux empathy. "Xavier, it's not about taking anything. It's about what's best for Nexus Labs. You're a genius coder, but leadership, that's my lane." My dad nodded, his eyes on her. "We're a family. We do what's right for the legacy." Legacy. That word burned, a reminder of every time they'd praised Sarah's brilliance while patting my head for trying hard. They weren't just sidelining me, they were erasing me. I tried reasoning with them over the next week, my voice hoarse from late-night calls. "I'm the one who made Nexus Labs," I told my mom, pacing my loft, my drone prototype blinking in the corner. "Sarah's ideas are half-baked without my execution." She sighed. "Xavier, you're too close to it. Sarah sees the big picture." My dad was blunter. "Don't be selfish, son. This is bigger than you." Sarah, meanwhile, was already acting like CEO, holding meetings in my office, her name creeping onto pitch decks. My team split. Corey and Simone stayed loyal, but others, dazzled by Sarah's promises of IPOs and stock options, started drifting. I was losing my empire. And the betrayal wasn't just business, it was blood. I didn't cry or scream. I planned. Hurt and fury became my fuel, and I knew I wasn't handing over my life's work. I met Corey and Simone at a dive bar in the Mission, the neon glow casting shadows on our faces. Corey, his dreads pulled back, was blunt. "Your family's trying to rob you, X. You gotta fight dirty." Simone, her braids swinging, hesitated. "You sure about this? Once you cross this line, there's no reboot." I nodded, my jaw tight, my mind already compiling. They started it, I'm finishing it. I knew Nexus Labs inside out, every contract, every line of code, every vulnerability. I started building a new entity, Apex Nova, quietly registering it under a shell company. Nights in my loft, while Sarah and my parents plotted their takeover, I transferred key assets, proprietary algorithms, client databases, our cloud infrastructure, to Apex Nova's servers. I was surgical, using encrypted backups and dummy files to cover my tracks, like a hacker ghosting a system. I reached out to our top clients, the ones who trusted me since the lean years, pitching Apex Nova as a new venture with the same core team. Most signed on, loyal to me, not Sarah's flash. A retail chain VP told me, "Xavier, you're the brain, we're with you." The talent was trickier. I couldn't poach openly, but I knew who'd jump ship. Corey and Simone were in, no question. I met Priya and Malik in secret, offering equity in Apex Nova and a chance to keep building what we'd started. Priya, her eyes fierce, said, "Sarah's all talk. I'm with you, X." Malik nodded. "You're the one who believed in me." They saw Sarah's power grab for what it was and signed on. 10 others followed, a skeleton crew ready to rebuild. I was dismantling Nexus Labs from the inside, and nobody saw the payload coming. I kept up appearances at the office, smiling through Sarah's strategy updates and my parents' calls about transition plans. They thought I was beaten, a pushover who'd roll over for family. They didn't know I was a wolf in sheep's clothing, my code running silent and deadly. I even let Sarah think I was warming to her vision, nodding at her ideas while I siphoned the company's lifeblood to Apex Nova. "You're doing great, sis," I'd say, my smile a firewall hiding my rage. As I planned, I uncovered more. Simone, digging through Sarah's emails at my request, found she'd been pitching Nexus Labs to a rival firm, TechTrend, behind my back. Sarah wasn't just taking my company, she was shopping it, promising our IP for a C-suite role and a fat payout. The emails were damning, with her calling me a coder, not a leader. It wasn't just family betrayal, it was corporate espionage, a virus in my system. My parents weren't clean either. They'd invested in Nexus Labs early on, a small stake I'd given out of love, but now they were using it to pressure the board. 3 local VCs who'd always liked me but were swayed by Sarah's charm. My dad had been whining and dining them, pushing for a leadership change, claiming I was burned out. My mom played the emotional card, telling the board Sarah was destined to lead. It was a coordinated coup, and I was the only one not on the guest list. I confided in my old college friend Trey, a tech lawyer with a knack for contracts. Over beers in Oakland, I laid out my plan: asset transfers, client shifts, Apex Nova's launch. "You're walking a legal tightrope, X," Trey warned, his brow furrowed. "Poaching clients, moving IP, it's a gray area. If they sue, it'll get ugly." I nodded, undeterred. "Let them try. This is my code, my empire." Trey sighed but got to work, drafting ironclad contracts for Apex Nova. He also found a loophole in Nexus Labs' operating agreement. My parents' shares didn't give them voting power unless I stepped down voluntarily. They were bluffing, and I was about to call their stack trace. The timing was critical. Sarah and my parents were planning a board meeting to formalize the transition, set for a Friday in June 2025. I chose the day before to strike. I rented an event space in Soma, all glass walls and city views, and invited the team, clients, and board to a special announcement, framing it as a Nexus Labs milestone. Sarah, smug as ever, thought I was surrendering. My parents beamed, assuming I'd folded. They had no idea I'd turned their takeover into my kill switch. I spent the week before tying up loose ends. Apex Nova's office was ready, a sleek dog patch space leased under a shell company, with desks for Corey, Simone, Priya, Malik, and the others. Our top clients, representing 70% of Nexus Labs' revenue, had transitioned to Apex Nova, locked in with exclusive deals. I'd secured a $5 million seed round from a VC who'd always backed me, giving Apex Nova the runway to soar. Nexus Labs was a husk, its servers humming with empty promises. I leaned on my team for the final push. Corey hacked together a presentation syncing Apex Nova's launch to the event screens, a visual gut punch. Simone coordinated client confirmations, her emails crisp and covert. Priya stress-tested our transferred algorithms, ensuring no bugs. Malik redesigned Apex Nova's branding, a logo that screamed new era. We were a unit, debugged and optimized, ready to execute. The event space was electric, glass walls, city lights, and a crowd buzzing with anticipation. I wore a tailored suit, my smile a mask, my heart a CPU overclocked with rage. Sarah was there, her navy blazer pristine, chatting up the board like she already owned the place. My parents mingled, their pride in her a neon sign. Corey and Simone flanked me, their eyes sharp, my co-conspirators in this digital heist. The board, clients, and team filled the room, glasses clinking, unaware of the payload about to deploy. I took the stage, mic in hand, the skyline framing me like a hacker's dashboard. "Nexus Labs is my heart," I started, my voice steady, my mug on the podium like a relic. 10 years ago, I built it from nothing, a kid with a dream and a laptop. But tonight I'm making a choice. Sarah's smile widened, thinking I was handing her the keys. My parents leaned forward, expectant. I paused, letting the tension compile, then dropped the first payload. "I'm resigning, effective immediately, but I'm not leaving empty-handed." Gasps rippled through the room. I signaled Corey, and the screens lit up, not with Nexus Labs' logo, but Apex Nova's, a sleek design that screamed rebirth. "I've launched a new company," I said, a voice rising like a system alert. "Apex Nova has the best of Nexus Labs, our top clients, our core team, our proprietary tech. It's the future, and it's mine." The crowd murmured. Phones out, recording. Sarah's face went pale, her charm 404. File not found. My parents froze, their wine glasses trembling. Then came the first twist. "Sarah, you thought you could take what I built," I said, turning to her, my voice a laser. "But you've been playing a bigger game." The screens flashed her emails to TechTrend, her promises to sell our IP for a corner office. The board gasped, their faces hardening. "You weren't just stealing from me, you were selling us out." Sarah stammered, "Xavier, that's not..." But I cut her off. "Save it. The code doesn't lie. The second twist hit like a DDoS attack. And you, Mom, Dad, I said, my eyes locking on them. You backed her, thinking you could erase me. But your shares, they're worthless without my consent. Check the bylaws. My dad's face fell, my mom's hand clutching his arm. The board, now furious, whispered among themselves. I'd exposed the coup and flipped the script. I didn't stop there. Nexus Labs is yours, Sarah, I said, my voice venom, my mug raised like a toast. But it's a shell. The clients are gone. The team's with me. The tech, locked in Apex Nova's servers. You wanted to lead a graveyard. The room was silent, the weight of my words crashing their systems. I stepped off the stage, the crowd parting, and walked out, Corey and Simone at my side. Sarah's voice called after me, Xavier, wait. But I didn't turn back. The rain greeted me outside, a clean slate for my new empire. Apex Nova launched like a rocket. Within months, we were signing Fortune 500 clients, our platform outpacing Nexus Labs' stale offerings. The team was tighter than ever. Corey debugging with flair, Simone running ops like a general, Priya and Malik pushing boundaries. The VC money flowed, and Silicon Valley buzzed about Xavier Reed, the defector who outcoded his family. I moved into a new loft, my drones buzzing as I tinkered, the city's pulse my soundtrack. I felt like a king, my empire rebuilt on my terms. Nexus Labs crumbled. Sarah tried to salvage it, but without clients or talent, it bled cash. TechTrend backed out, spooked by the leaked emails. The board ousted my parents' influence, and Sarah stepped down within a year, her Stanford shine dulled. My parents called, their voices strained, asking to talk. I didn't answer. They'd chosen their side, and I'd rewritten the script. The victory was sweet, but it didn't last. Late nights in my loft, the high faded, and doubt crept in like a memory leak. I'd see Sarah's face, that moment on stage, her confidence crashing, and my stomach would knot. I'd won, but at what cost? I'd burned my family, my roots, to keep my empire. Was it worth it? My drone sat untouched, my code felt hollow. The city's lights mocked me, reflecting a man I barely recognized. I ran into Trey 6 months later at a tech conference. He'd heard about Apex Nova's success, but saw through my bravado. You got your Empire X, he said, his eyes steady. But you're carrying that night with you. Don't let it rewrite who you are. His words echoed Simone's warning from the planning days. You're changing you, she'd said. I'd ignored her, but now I felt it. The weight of becoming someone who could destroy his own blood. I heard Sarah had moved to Seattle, working a low-level job at a startup, her charm no longer enough. My parents were quieter, their Palo Alto house a shadow of its former warmth. I asked Corey about them once, but he shook his head. Let it go, man. You won. Simone was blunter, her voice cutting through my loft's hum. You didn't just take the company, Xavier. You took their pride. Own it, or it'll own you. The year after the takedown, I sat in my new office, the city sprawling below, my mug on my desk like a relic. Apex Nova was thriving, but I was restless, my code running on fumes. I started digging, needing closure. I found Sarah's X profile, her posts sparse, her bio a vague starting over. I saw a photo of my parents at a charity event, their smiles forced. Part of me wanted to reach out, to bridge the chasm, but what could I say? Sorry I crashed your dreams. I met Simone for coffee, needing her clarity. You did what you had to, she said, her voice softer now. But you're more than that night, X. Figure out who you want to be. Her words were a lifeline, but I wasn't ready to grab it. I'd built an empire, but the cost was my family, my peace. The guilt wasn't loud, it was quiet, persistent, like a bug I couldn't squash. I tracked down a former Nexus Labs client, a retail VP who'd jumped to Apex Nova. Over drinks, he asked, was it worth it, Xavier? You won, but you look like you're still running. His question haunted me, a prompt I couldn't answer. I'd fixed what was broken, just like my grandfather taught me, but I'd broken something else, my family, maybe myself. I'm still here, in this city of glass and ambition, my empire stronger than ever. The rain falls some nights, reminding me of that stage, that betrayal, that fire. I wanted Sarah and my parents to hurt, and they did. I wanted to keep what was mine, and I have. But I'm learning the price of revenge isn't just theirs, it's mine too. I'm not the kid who started Nexus Labs, tinkering with circuits in Oakland, but I'm not the man who burned it down either. I'm Xavier Reed, somewhere in between, searching for a way to debug my soul. Apex Nova is my legacy, but my story, it's still compiling, and I'm not sure how it ends.